Can you believe that video went viral?
I know, Iris.
X, are you so proud of it?
Yeah, let me check just a little bit.
Excuse me, what the actual fuck?
Okay, no more BS. I'm X.
My name's Iris.
Huh, and I'm 0.
So today we'll be doing the Sonic 3 ranking of each zone in the game. Green means the easier zones, and I'll be covering those.
Yellow represents the medium zones, and I'll be covering those.
And red represents the harder zones.
Also, this video has a lot of similarities to YesOn135's original video of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. By the time this video being released is gonna be February 2nd of 2025, which is gonna be Sonic 3's 31st anniversary, so let's go! Green rank, easiest zone, Hidden Palace. So we're starting off with a 1-act zone. It got a green rank due to the fact that the only hazard in Hidden Palace are spikes and also the lack of Badniks. The hardest thing about this zone is the easy fight against Knuckles. After that, we see the Master Emerald being stolen by Reverbnik and Knuckles joins Sonic's side. To be honest, you can make the argument that this is the easiest zone in the Sega Genesis trilogy of Sonic. And that's it. Hidden Palace is a short and easy zone to advance the plot. Angel Island. Now we're talking more about our 2-act normal zones. This zone has basic Badniks. It's also easy, but slightly harder than Hidden Palace. What stands out in difficulty here is the more challenging platforming, with it having a couple places that you have to jump upwards and not at the easiest way. And we'll have a couple points in this zone with deep water. Out of the bosses, the mini boss in Act 1 isn't that hard. It's just about knowing when to hit at the right time. It's way easier if you have equipped a fire shield, since the flames can't hurt you with it. And now the Reverbnik boss fight. The only thing he can do is shoot us flames, but it isn't too hard to dodge. Like the mini boss, it's about jumping on him to finish him. A cheat for this fight is that if you are playing as Sonic and Tails, you can jump for Reverbnik when he appears, and Tails will keep jumping on him, which does a shitload of damage for a fast victory when Reverbnik moves to another position. While Angel Island is harder than Green Hill and Emerald Hill, it has an acceptable difficulty to be the first zone of Sonic 3. Mushroom Hill. This is a very easy zone, with it having a very free platforming and few obstacles. Though a very annoying enemy while we advance on this zone is a dragonfly robot, who obstructs our path and can easily do us damage if we're not precise to destroy him. He'd be moving in a way that makes it hard to hit his head. Except as Baddeley, the others aren't that annoying. Following, the mini-boss isn't that big of a deal. The only thing he can do is chop wood to hit us with it, but in a very slow way. So there won't be a lot of problems to attack him. It's just about jumping on the robot. On the other hand, the boss will be slightly harder due to the fact that you have to follow Reverbnik and be careful the mines don't hurt you. You have to calculate the moment to bounce and attack Reverbnik. Overall, a very easy zone in general and very fitting to be the first zone of Sonic and Knuckles. Hydro City. Yes, most water zones are a stress-inducing clusterfuck, but fortunately, the water level is better managed here. To differ from Labyrinth Zone, in Hydro City will have a better and more comfortable platforming. Though it is a water zone, it's better balanced so we don't have exaggeratedly narrow paths and the amount of obstacles are acceptable. It's in a way that we have freer movement. I'm not saying to get confident, it just gives us more possibilities for platforming, but that doesn't mean it can't be challenging. The first mini-boss, what it'll do is to spin around the pool of water, so we have to calculate when to jump without it crashing with us. After that, it'll stop and do a water tornado, taking away our possibility to move during that moment. The hardest thing will be dodging since it'll move fast, and if we're late to react, it'll hit us. When he stops, we have to hit him quickly to finish it. With the boss, we'll have a fight where Reverbnik will try pulling us through him with a water vortex. It's complicated to attack him due to that you can't hit him at any moment, not even with our insta-shield, which I'll explain later. We have to wait until Reverbnik descends, or launch at him from the water jet that the bombs he drops will cause. You have to be careful and accurate to hit him without getting damaged. Ice Cap. We won't have too many enemies throughout this zone. But this zone stands out for its slightly tedious platforming in the first act. The most annoying thing is there are a couple of moments with a bottomless descent, and you have to jump in a specific area to get out of this loop. Similar to Labyrinth Zone from Sonic 1, the problem is the difficulty of knowing when to jump, especially when it's your first time playing this zone. Another thing that can be confusing or annoying is that there are moments where we'll have to push certain platforms to lift them and allow us to advance. And what's wrong with that? If we time our speed and the jump wrongly, we either fall from the platform or the spikes hurt us that are above some of them. Now, in Act 2, we'll have a much more free and comfortable platforming. But on this zone, you need to be careful about the traps that blow snow to try and freeze you and are well spread throughout Ice Cap. About the boss fights, the mini-boss will be annoying since it'll be pulling a Metropolis zone on us, as in being protected by objects that hurt us forming a circle, with it being snow blocks in this case. Of course, you can still attack when it has the snowballs, but we have to be precise at that time of jumping. The easiest way of fighting it is to simply wait after he throws his snowballs. Being careful the snowballs don't hit us, of course. And quickly attack him before the snowballs come back. About the boss, it's so complicated since Reverbnik will try to freeze us throwing some snow at 3 directions randomly, making it more difficult to time the moment to attack him. So we'll have to be careful at the moment of attacking him. Sky Sanctuary. This zone doesn't stand out for having obstacles spread throughout its singular act, so we'll have a very free platforming. But taking into consideration that this zone is progressed vertically and that it contains bottomless pits, it can become somewhat dangerous. On the other hand, our biggest op here will be the egg robos, who will be shooting laser beams at us, since they'll be agile at attacking us. Worst case scenario, they can knock us into a bottomless pit or the beginning of Sky Sanctuary. Instead of having 2 boss fights, we'll have 3, and the fights are against Mecha Sonic Mark II. In the first fight, we'll have a remaster of the Eggmobile H, the first fight of Sonic 1. Where Reverbnik try to hit us with a sphere. It isn't that difficult, but it will be lightly challenging to dodge the sphere while hitting Mecha. In the second boss fight, we'll have a remaster of the Egg Bouncer, the boss fight in Metropolis Zone, another boss who pulls a Metropolis Zone on us. To attack him, we'll have to hit him with our insta-shield until he has no clones left, and then hit him again before they come back. We can still hit him while he's protected, but it's too hard to hit and too risky to land. Finally, with the third boss, it's sort of a remaster of the Silver Sonic fight in the Death Egg of Sonic 2. This one is slightly tough, but with agility and good reaction time, we can finish him. And that's it for Sky Sanctuary, another 1-act zone but more challenging.
Yellow rank, Carnival Night. A zone that will remind us of Casino Night from Sonic 2, and they do have stuff in common like the visuals, or it could be said they share the same challenge. Those who have seen the Sonic 2 ranking will remember that Accident and Casino Night will rarely see enemies, but there is a tedious platforming and labyrinthical in certain parts. Well, same here, so I can take us a bit of time to get through this zone. Oh, here's a funny thing, Carnival Night has water only in the second act, and it is filled with traps. But surprisingly, I don't feel like it's that difficult. Act 2 is generally considered harder than Act 1. The only reason I bumped it to a low medium is for the barrel, which is why the zone is remembered, since it trolled many players by not explaining how it worked. I mean, we knew it was possible to move it by jumping, but I didn't know we had to use the goddamn D-pad. I'm going to show you this clip of everyone's reaction to finally understanding the barrel.
What? All I had to do was move up and down? Up and down? What the fuck?
The mini-boss can be really hard since what it'll do is launch us a platform with spikes that will bounce around the stage. To attack it, we not only have to bounce on the robot, but wait until its own platform hits it. If we're fast enough, we can corner it and win quickly, since when the platform hits it, you quickly jump to hit it again for it to be vulnerable and repeat until finishing it. But we have to be careful the electricity that he'll be releasing at any time doesn't hurt us. We also need to be quick to win, since the platform will be destroying the ground, and if we lose the ground, we lose a life. Continuing with the boss, Reverbnik will be a lot easier but very slow. What he'll do is throw us a crystal sphere, and after that try to pull us into it with static electricity. To attack, we have to wait until Reverbnik lowers down to pick up the sphere, and we can use that moment to bounce over him and start wailing hits. The con is that we'll only hit him a few times, since he won't take long to lift up, and we'll have to repeat everything I just said to attack Reverbnik again, and it can take quite some time. But if we're playing as Sonic, we can use the Insta-Shield, which allows the air attacks to protect Sonic and hit things that would otherwise hurt him. To activate it, press the jump button again after jumping. If we're playing as Tails, we can use his tails to hit Reverbnik. In the end, this zone counts with a moderate difficulty. We're slowly getting to harder zones. Marble Garden. By the name, you'd probably think that this is like Marble Zone from Sonic 1, but no. Though what they do have in common is a considerably high difficulty. Marble Garden is filled with hazards, due to that we'll have a very limited platforming. What stands out the most are the bubbles, who will be waiting until we're near it to hurt us with its spikes. If we're not quick enough when we're close to him, then see your rings. Another problematic or tricky hazard are the spikers, a bad thing disguised as spikes. Its spikes won't hurt us, but the robot will shoot us some projectile balls that can hurt us. We can't easily identify if it's real spikes or a spiker, so don't get too confident if you find spikes here. What sucks is that almost all the hazards here are about spikes or drills. The mini-boss is similar to the Egg Digger, the boss in Mystic K from Sonic 2, since it will dig upwards and hurt us with sharp marble. To attack it, we'll have to wait its descent and hit him in the side that his drills aren't in. If it's your first time play, you might struggle to dodge the marble. On the other hand, the boss will be moderately difficult, since we're fighting him in the air, but it really isn't that hard. Since we have to jump at Reverbnik with enough precision to not hit his drills or the flame. Also, we can get an early advantage by hitting him when we see him drilling the ground. And oh well, that's Marble Garden, a tricky zone and well deserving of the medium rank. Flying Battery. This is an airborne zone, which means that there will be a lot of bottomless pits, so carefully see where we stab in the outdoor areas. It doesn't only stand out in that, but it can be difficult to get through here in general since it's saturated with traps that can be annoying. The worst ones are the switches that expose fire on both sides. We can deactivate them by pressing their switch, but it's only temporary and they will make us bounce, which reactivates them. We have to be precise at the moment of pressing the switch or simply dodging. Another challenging characteristic of Flying Battery is that there are places with magnetic energy, which will be constantly turning on and off and moving various metallic objects with them, with the risk of damaging or crushing us, so we have to cross carefully to not get damaged. About the mini-boss, it's easy since it'll try to crush us with its arms, but somewhat slowly. To To defeat it, we have to be over him and wait until he locks on. When we see its eyes blink, we quickly get out of there for it to hit itself, and repeat until it self-destructs. It's about having a good reaction. If we talk about the boss fight, it's a different story. Reverbnik will try to burn us and hurt us with the spikes at the edges. To hit him, we'll have to wait for him to bounce, and then we hit him, but we have to time the jumps right to not get hurt. In the end, what a hell of a zone. Launch base. In this zone, we'll have to face agile Baddeley. As the most annoying, I'd say out the core key, a robot who will be shooting us a laser from above at certain points. Another one is the Ribot, who will try hitting us with some spheres in different ways, being a bother to our stride. There's also Flybot 767, who will appear if we trigger an alarm, and can become really annoying if unexpected. But I consider the most annoying bad thing here to be the Orbinaut. Since he is protected by spiky spheres, he will not only be blocking specific areas, but he will be slowly following us if we move. The only way to eliminate him is by having invincibility or a wall-time insta-shield, since he will never throw the spheres. But those are the most annoying enemies in a general opinion. Next, the platforming will be lightly tedious since it has many hazards. And for the bosses, this zone has 4, which is the most a zone has in this game. The mini-boss will be difficult. What it will do is roll some spiky spheres at a moderate speed, which makes it complicated to time right. Once we hit it 3 times, the fight becomes easier, since now it's easier to time the attacks right since it will lose a sphere. The second fight, it depends more on our reflexes. Reverbnik will try to hit us with spheres. To attack him, we have to use the platform that will appear beneath Reverbnik and jump to hit him. We have to do it quickly before the platform goes away, or we probably get hit by another sphere. Once destroyed, we jump in Reverbnik's Eggmobile, then we will get to the third boss, which isn't that difficult. It's just about jumping many times over Reverbnik, but he has a spiky sphere that protects him and the laser beams that will shoot at you. After that, we fight against the final boss of Launch Base and Sonic 3, Big Arms, which is the hardest out of the 4. Reverbnik will try to grab us and hit us on the floor. Unfortunately, the chances to hit this boss are limited, since the only moment we can hit him is when he heads towards us. We have to jump in his central part while being careful not to fall at his hands, a risky action and requiring of good timing. Now, we can only fight Big Arms in Sonic 3 or if we play as Knuckles on Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic Origins 2. If we play as Sonic and or Tails in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, we only fight up to the Rocket and move on to Mushroom Hill. Well, to conclude, Lock Base is a very challenging zone in both levels and bosses.
Red Ring, the Doomsday. Now we're in the hardest zones of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. We begin this difficulty with the final boss of the game, only playable if we have all the Chaos Emeralds or Super Emeralds. Then we have to play this zone having the Super/Hyper form. So rings are vital since we are in a Super/Hyper form. The ring counter slowly drains until we have 0 rings and lose our form. So we need to grab every single ring we see. A huge hazard will be the missiles being thrown at us. They don't hurt us, but can slow us down and make it hard to catch up to Reverbnik. So we need to be careful to not crash with them. About the zone, we're chasing Reverbnik in the ship and Meki will escape it. In the ship, you shoot out some tiny pellets and homing missiles. You have to use the missiles to make them hit Reverbnik in the ship's head. After destroying it, a mech will appear which Reverbnik will escape in. We have to catch up to it and hit its central part but avoid its projectiles. Nothing in this fight can hurt us as in losing rings, but there are projectiles like the rocks who will slow us down briefly. This zone can be really hard if it's your first time playing, but you'll slowly get the trick of it. Remember, we can go faster by spamming the jump buttons. Soundopolis. Now we're in the desert zone of the game, and like its name, it has sound. Wow, I know. The difficulty here is sort of split by the 2 acts. The first act being the easier one, though it's slow and platforming. With it having sights with narrow path, and quicksand to slow us down. The Baddeley here are dangerous, like desert animals. The hardest one beyond a shadow of a doubt has to be the Scorp, since his attacks are well timed to hurt us, making it hard to avoid or hit him. Even the manual warns us about timing our jumps right. On the other hand, an eye to it's harder since it's more narrow. Hell, we have to react faster. We also have to open passages with some switches we push to the right. However, when we stop pushing them, they slowly begin to close the passage. So when we stop pushing, we have to react quickly. Another thing that will make us rush are that we have to keep the level bright using light switches. If we let it dark, then some ghosts will be attacking us. Of course, we can attack them and dodge them, but even so, they will bother us until the light switch is turned on again. Not today, buddy. About the bosses, the first one is slow and boring. It'll only jump towards us. But in such a slow way that to defeat it, we have to bring it to the quicksand. To do that, we have to lure it in or push it by hitting its head. Contrary, the second boss is no BS and is tough, as we have to jump on its arm. After jumping on it, it reveals Reverbnik and we have to hit him. But we have to time our jumps right since the robot is covered in spikes, which makes it hard to hit. A really challenging zone, mostly in its second act. Lava Reef. The name gives that away. It's about lava, fire, and anything that can burn you. This zone will use that to its full potential, making it tough. Due to that, our savior here is the fire shield. I even made a meme. If we manage to get it, most of this zone becomes a walk in the park. If we're talking about badniks, this zone has many and very skilled ones. The hardest one for me is the fireworm, a worm-like robot who can attack us by surprise. Since he isn't visible until we're too close to him, we also need to time it right to destroy it. If we don't hit its head, we take damage. Speaking of bosses, the mini-boss is moderately difficult. The tentacle guns will appear that will shoot pellets in a spread angle, making it hard to dodge. Then a hand will try to squash us. We have to hit it in the right time when it slams the ground. Not so hard if we're good at this game. The boss is hard since he has to survive and wait. Reverbnik will try hitting us with some mines that the stage tilts so they side towards us. You have to jump with the platforms for them to hit Reverbnik. If we have a fire shield or our forms, then this fight mostly becomes automatic. Overall, the bosses aren't that hard, but a really hard zone in general. Hardest zone, Death Egg. Difference from this Death Egg and Sonic 2's is that this won't be a final boss short zone. It's just a long 2-act zone, like most zones in this game. This zone stands out in a lot of things, like having bottomless pits at certain points, very annoying enemies, and a considerable amount and many traps that are annoying. The most annoying trap to me is the one that shoots a small missile at us. It can easily hit us if we aren't careful, and keep in mind they are well spread throughout the Death Egg. There are places with conveyor belt elevators that will go down and move us to a side, which are covered with spikes and those projectile traps. So it's a challenge to get through those areas unscathed. Another part that I want to mention isn't dangerous but annoying and tricky if it's your first time. We have to touch 6 buttons from a floating machine. Hardest thing is that we're working with gravity, making it hard to time right. About the bosses, the mini-boss is a huge headache. First, it'll cover itself in floating spheres, and it'll lower them soon. We have to time our jumps right since it's hard to reach, and we are under the risk of getting damaged by the spheres. And there's a moment where the spheres expand and you have to hug the walls. After it loses its spheres, the fight's over, right? Nope, this asshole will have a second phase, which it'll fly and have 2 platforms. However, for every hit we give him, he'll shoot out a laser and make his platform spin very quickly. Really hard trying to take no damage. The boss fight will be simple, but you need really good timing. It's the Death Ball, impossible to attack by jumping, since it'll use its shield depending on where we are. To fight it, we have to use the gravity elevators to get the mine tanks to hit it. It takes a few seconds for the gravity change to kick in, so we need to time the mines right. Once the Death Ball is destroyed, we'll fight against the giant Reverbnik Robo. Or as I like to call it, the Death Egg Robot Mark II. For our misfortune, this is a sort of tough fight, since it has 3 phases. The first one being the easiest. Reverbnik will try squashing us using the robot's fingers, and you have to jump at them when they hit the floor, something you've already done in Lava Reef. Once the robot's fingerless, we get to the second phase, the Life Drainer. The robot will be following us as it destroys the ground behind it and blowing flames at us. We have to open a central compartment and then jump at the mass rumble to hit the robot. We have to do it quickly because when the compartment opens, a huge energy beam will be shot at us. To avoid it, we have to do a well-timed jump. If not, the energy beam will hurt us. Once we hit him 8 times, the Death Egg Robot Mark II will be destroyed. But don't think it's over yet. Reverbnik will try to escape on the Eggmobile with the mass rumble, and the floor is falling apart faster. And we have to hit him 8 times again. However, we need to be careful when attacking him. Once we won, the rest depends on our playable character, and then we have the emeralds. If we don't have the Super or Chaos Emeralds, and or we're playing as Tails, then that's the end. But if we're playing as Sonic and have the Chaos or Super Emeralds, Reverbnik won't give up yet, since we need to get through the Doomsday, where the final fight occurs. I'm really surprised how many things this zone has that make it stand out, and the very challenging bosses it has. It has everything to be the final zone of Sonic 3.
Well guys, hope y'all enjoyed that video. See y'all in the next one. Where are we? Don't forget Tengenuzui is the best Hashira. Enjoyed the video? Please drop a like. If you really like this content, then subscribe to my channel. We really appreciate it.